Polker, undervalued crypto gem that will surprise everyone in the upcoming 2 months. Welcome back, my name is Stan, I'm the CEO and co-founder of an international custom software development company. We build products for the city of New York, SAP and General Electric and others. I have 200 people under management, and on this channel I'm sharing my crypto journey and turning $500,000 into 10 million following my high uncertainty, low risk crypto strategy. In this video we will go through Polker. I will tell you why I think that it is an undervalued gem at this stage, and we will do the full overview from my point of view of this project as well. Let's start from the beginning, boys. So let's start from CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko. Essentially, the token is around 1.7 million according to the CoinMarketCap and 3.7 million according to CoinGecko, with a fully diluted valuation of 9 million. I mostly believe these numbers instead of this one, and yeah, on CoinMarketCap we often have numbers that are not true, and it's quite interesting because the website is called CoinMarketCap. We see that at the peak of the last bullet was 0.53. Right now it's 0.00091, which is quite crazy by itself. So it's almost 0.01. So it's 50x down from the highs of the peak bull at that time. And at that time, I don't think they have anything like working and things like that. And despite that fact, it was pushed a bit by, I think, by Alex Becker as well as VPP. So it's on Polygon Matic, which is quite bullish by itself. As mentioned, Matic was the choice last year to build anything connected with the crypto gaming, with some other blockchains that unfortunately died out. And essentially Matic, they've partnered up with IMX and Beam recently, which makes it quite bullish in terms of actually them showing that they want to be into crypto gaming and they want to be blockchain for development of the crypto games as well. So on CoinGecko we see similar information. One of the interesting things is that the comment from this gentleman that we see on the CoinMarketCap, that Polker is following the direction, and it's kind of the combination of VPP and WAGMI games, because they actually focus on mobile applications. So they have the game already launched on Epic Games. You can download and play it and things like that. And it's in Unreal Engine 5, which has quite nice graphics and it's quite nice by itself. But interesting thing is mobile apps, because a lot of mobile gaming is being done on mobile apps currently, and the target markets for mobile games is usually Asia, and people play more mobile games on Android. And especially if we would have certain thing connected with play to earn, imagine Polker would be like next X Infinity, where people would just be able to play in Asia, make money and make like monthly wages of the parents in a day or two of playing this product. They do plan to implement internal token as well, which I think will be called Spades. So Polker is kind of a governance token, and Spades is essentially a token for play to earn. So the same type of functionality that you saw on X Infinity as well. Quite bullish on this thing, quite interesting, but this is the full overview. So we're doing the full overview. We have the Twitter as well, 70k subscribers, pretty nice in comparison to the amount of market cap that this token has. And also they are located on Malta, which is quite bullish by itself, because a lot of kind of betting companies and businesses around that, they're also located there, and they have certain benefits in terms of this type of companies being located on Malta as well. So it's quite interesting, and it's not cheap actually to set up the company on Malta, so they definitely spend some money in terms of doing that. So they're pretty active on Twitter in terms of posts, 2k views, 2k views, 2k views. So it's not much at this stage. However, it is how it should be, just because of the fact that it is low market cap. So see this as an advantage, because not a lot of people they know about this thing yet, and it's quite interesting by itself that not a lot of people are following this product. And again, it's kind of around gambling, it's Unreal Engine 5, it's about NFTs, it's also on the mobile device. So it's very, very interesting project by itself. They have a YouTube channel as well. We only see 2 videos from 3 days, Polker reimagined gameplay and how to use Sushi Swap, because I think they've merged from BC recently, and some people they still hold some of the token in BC, so there should be probably a bridge from there. Polker reimagined gameplay, pretty straightforward, pretty nice video in terms of essentially Unreal Engine 5 graphics and things like that. We might actually want to just, this woman is actually NFT, so you can buy NFT of this woman, and this is one of the things of why I'm bullish on terms of this thing, because you can check out the things about this woman and you can understand right away it's way more pleasant to play with NFT like this than without NFT like this. So it's kind of interesting by itself. Unreal Engine graphics, some things in the background, so it's not fully sophisticated, but again it's just a poker game, and their focus is obviously how NFTs look and feel and things like that. So this guy yeah, I didn't see the combination that this guy essentially had. So YouTube channel is not large as well, but in terms of any crypto projects, you want to also see like large YouTube channels as well. Interesting update. So a lot of people were bullish about Polker because they had planned launch of the Android application in December. After that, on one of the Amos, one of the founders, he basically mentioned that after that they're expecting a VC injection in order to be able to continue working on the product. And I covered the fundraising for this project a bit later on this video as well. In terms of the mobile Android application, they said that they won't be able to publish it in December. However, they already submitted, they should submit the application for review on December 31. So I'm the CEO and co-founder of Castor Software Development Company, iOS engineer in the first place. So I used to develop applications for iPhones and Androids as well at certain stage of the growth of the company. So I know how this thing works. Things that he's saying are true. A lot of like these reviews, they are being done mainly by the employees of Google and Apple, just to make sure that they won't have some things in terms of things that should not be on the applications. At the same time, in some cases, they can be declined on the review. I think one of the reasons of why they're doing Android in the first place is because App Store is way more harsh in terms of actually improving products on the App Store. And we even had like some issues with some clients because they had a certain deadline and we were not able to approve the application in the App Store. And one of the interesting things that might happen is that App Store would not approve Polker in the App Store like at all. And the same thing happened with Axie Infinity because it's kind of crypto connected. It might be connected with finances and gambling and things like that. They don't like if you don't basically implement in-app purchases, but you have some implementations through crypto, because in this way they're not making their 30%. So that's why they might be declining this iPhone application to be launched. But same thing happened with Axie Infinity. They were just distributing it through test flight, and people that wanted to play, they were playing, and the whole kind of gaming and narrative, the whole party was happening on the Android devices. Because I think still that with the play to earn element of this thing, if it would be implemented, Asia would be basically the main target market for this project as well. So quite interesting by itself. Things that he's saying are legit. It does not show us that the application would be approved 100% once they would push it for the first approval. Because in some cases they might decline the application. They will provide you with a list of things that you need to fix, and after that you would essentially be fixing them and resubmitting the application into the Google Play. However, kind of the structure, the way that Google Play is approving applications is way lighter and way easier than with App Store. With App Store, you might get declined for like small things, small bugs, and even like App Store, they do a lot of QA for yourself, which is quite nice as well. So there is a high chance that they will get approved essentially on the first week of January, so the first week of next year. If not, I would give them 2 to 3 weeks to essentially go through iterations and push the product. And as mentioned by this guy, by one of the founders of the Amos, but by the way, what's bullish about Polker is that through the whole bear market, they were doing weekly Amos. So I don't think they were missing a lot of them, and they were still communicating with the community and things like that, which is quite nice by itself, because other projects, some of the projects that I even talk about on this channel, the team that they just left the project completely in the bear, and they only returned why this team started to pick up as well. So this is bullish about Polker too. We would just remember that the guy mentioned that they expecting VC injection after they will publish the Android application. It makes sense because VCs, they would want to understand that this team is capable of delivering. Therefore, they would be able to deliver the iOS application as well. And at the same time, they would essentially be able to take profits ROI on their investments as well. One of the interesting things about kind of the way that iOS and Android applications have been developed, I'm not sure about the technology that is being used here. However, obviously the whole game is being done in Unreal Engine. So they should not have a lot of work in terms of essentially transferring Unreal Engine gameplay into iOS and Android, just because of the fact that they have core of the platform in Unreal Engine, and it's the same way as with Unity. So you have the core of the platform, and then it's kind of like cross-platform. So you can put it on iOS, you can put it on Android, you can put it on PC. You just have to change controls and change it in a way and connect all the libraries necessary in order for Unity and Unreal Engine product to work on iOS and Android. So that's bullish from this point of view, and this is some kind of alpha I'm providing you from the tech point of view, is that the fact that they have the Android application, once they would have it, means that they have iOS application as well, or that it is in very short time frame to basically get done, because they should have Unreal Engine product ready. Therefore, they would be able to launch iOS version, just connect controls, native libraries, do the things in the Xcode, and do the things in terms of the approval of the product in the App Store. Again, that might get declined, but then they will just be distributing the product through the test flight, and it's totally fine because it's the same way that X Infinity was distributing their product in the last bull cycle, and that's just limitations from Apple, and that's the reason why they're losing this market share. Probably they have the reasons. Next thing in terms of the LinkedIn. So let's check out their LinkedIn page. Posts 2 months, so interesting. They were posting something on LinkedIn. 12 likes, 2 months, 3 months, quite interesting. So LinkedIn is mostly a professional platform, so you would only see people like in terms of work and things like that. So one of the things I wanted to share is that on one of the AMAs, so I think in public information, they mentioned that they have 35 employees. And if we check out the locations of these employees, they're based in the US mostly. Some people in the Brazil, Bangladesh, Philippines, Romania, concept. Yeah, so what I wanted to say in the first place is if they really have a team of 35 people, that's probably a lie because they cannot like have a team of 35 people and move with them forward through the bull with the amount of money they actually raised. And I will share how much money they raised so far in terms of at least public knowledge a bit later. However, if we go through this whole thing and we see people from Romania, we see people from Brazil, we see people from India, from Philippines, from Pakistan, from Bangladesh, we understand that there is a high chance from Tallinn, which is quite interesting because Tallinn is the capital of Estonia, and the guy has Polker PKR, so they might have entity in Estonia as well because Estonia is quite good essentially for setting up tech mobile companies as well. It's actually quite a lot of mobile developers in Estonia as well. So if they have people in these type of countries, they can easily have a team of 35 people and move them through the bull because they can have a way lower burn rate in comparison if they would have all of these people in the US. And in some cases, they might not even have them on the full-time payroll. So for example, like this guy, right? So he's senior graphic designer, UI expert, and he's from Romania and he's open to work and he's in Polker. So this might be bearish from one point of view because they might be firing him currently, but at the same time, like if he's senior graphic designer in Romania, he's probably costing maybe around 1.5, 2K, and if they can get a designer from Philippines, from India for $400 doing the same work, that's great for the company, bullish for the company. And as we see, the guy is, I think, Asian in the first place. So yeah, this would usually mean that they would have some connections in terms of the team actually being countries like Philippines and essentially being in Asia. Therefore, like it would be cheaper. Now, we might have some concerns about the quality of the product due to the fact that the team is based in that region. But on the other side, from the point of view of investors, is quite bullish just because of the fact that they can have more people, more engineers, the burn rate is lower. And I think this is one of the reasons of why they were able to move through this bear market and constantly providing updates and things like that. It's quite interesting because on AMAs, I think I heard that the guys from UK, like the guy who's doing the AMAs, but I don't see any UK here. So I mostly see just US. CTO based in Philippines, yeah, quite nice by itself because the guys, they can also do some products as well. But what is not bullish in this case is that he's also CTO in Volcanic Labs and he's also CTO in Twala. So blockchain backend engineering director, right? So, and he's also working in Polker, right? So it's not very bullish from the point of view that this guy is not full-time, but at the same time, it kind of makes sense that I think they're still surviving the bear. I think they're still showing traction to the investors. And I think that Android application would be kind of the core of this whole thing and whether or not they would be able to fundraise. And kind of makes sense from the cost point of view to have someone like this, because if you're working on kind of gaming product in mobile apps, you just need like several smart contracts to be in place and you don't need a lot of like blockchain work in order to make everything work. CEO at Polker, nice. So he's only working here. He's also CEO of US Home Design Build, which might be quite bearish from this point of view that he has his own companies, other companies, so he's not full-time on Polker, but at least he does not have like a bunch of consulting agency after that and things like that. So we checked this guy already. COO, co-founder and COO. All right. So, and his guy is also aircraft maintenance technician and is also present. So yeah, it's bearish from one point of view because these guys, they are not full-time on Polker. So the other guy has some job and this guy, he also has some job. So it seems like they're working full-time. I don't think it's a very like high-paying job and it is connected with tech products as well. But at the same time, it might be bullish from other point of view because following this strategy, this structure, they are actually able to sustain the project through the bear market as well. So they're not kind of spending the resources. They understand that they need to make money somehow in the process and they're not like burning all the funds, taking them to themselves because they could have easily killed the project, just take all the funds and just leave, which a lot of founders of the last cycle projects did, especially the gaming ones. This guy didn't. So it's quite bullish by itself. And I think it's one of the conviction point of why investors might actually lend them cash cash, give them cash, and at the same time, I think people like Becker, they might be actually quite interested in terms of Polker as well. So this guy is also present somewhere. He's not updating LinkedIn much because he just has 80 connections, so it might be something interesting. He joined quite a lot of time back as well, and there's a high chance that he's still working as a contractor and things like that. So we see most of the founding team not working full-time, which is quite fair from the point of view that they were in the bear market. They wanted to save funds. At the same time, the core thing for us is to understand that their core team members are actually working full-time on the project. So let's pop up several guys. Project manager, Polker. So it's quite interesting from the point of view of the founders because they don't take money for themselves. They work on the jobs full-time, right? And they save the money to pay them to the team, which is quite interesting. And team is based in all countries because they don't have a lot of money. So therefore, they need to support them. This is bullish. So these guys working on Polker. He's senior full stack developer, so he can cover different tech stacks of the product. JavaScript, TypeScript, so it's mostly web stuff. Solidity, it's smart contract engineering. Binance Smart Chain, it's just because the project was based on the Binance before. In terms of other things, Docker is connected with the DevOps, Git, CI/CD, so pretty nice thing. So it's quite bullish that he's working full time. He's not looking for a job here. He's also based in Manila, which is I think somewhere in the Philippines, which is quite bullish by itself. So he doesn't cost much for the project. Game engine developer manager at Polker. All right. Yep. So this guy, he's also working for full-time on the project. So he's not kind of switching jobs and things like that. He's based in Brazil, which is quite nice by itself. Although there might be some issues with the time zone in terms of him actually being able to manage the developers, the engineers at the same time. But if he's just one person who's based in Brazil, he might just kind of adjust to the time zone of his core team, which is probably based in Asia and around Philippines and countries like that. Quite bullish here as well. So it's quite a nice move from the point of view of the founders. They keep working the jobs in first world countries and they keep the cash in the project to support the team in third world countries because they're cheaper, but they would still be building the product. It's quite nice. It's quite bullish. Again, CTO is based in Philippines. It's not bullish that he has all these things, but at the same time, you should understand that CTO, if he's not writing the code himself and they have senior full stack engineers, is quite alright. So it's quite, he does not need to invest a lot of time there. He might just be on the white paper. He might just need to join some meetings and things like that. But it's quite alright that he's not there. I don't know this profession. Let me know if you know it. Marketing manager, Polker. I'm not sure that she's working a lot in Polker currently. I think she's just on LinkedIn there. She's also based in the US. The reason I'm saying I'm not sure she's working on Polker is because they don't have marketing budgets at this stage. Because they just kind of crawling to finish up the application in order to fundraise for marketing. So the next round that they would probably be taking with the investors would go into the finalization of the solution and marketing as well. But in terms of the solution, it's probably more like stabilization and things like that. So I don't think they would be doing a lot of development there. So, and we see as the confirmation of my words, she's a freelancer somewhere. She's a freelancer. So she's not working on the Polker full time, which definitely makes sense because I would not like to see the project spending funds on marketing when they don't have funds and we just need to develop the application. Managing director, blockchain fintech advisor. This guy looks like an investor, founder, genetic block technology, self-employed. So probably some type of tech consultant, things like that. I don't think that the company might need managing the director, although they really have a team of 35 people, but I don't see enough development being done for the team of 35 people. So I think that most of these people, they're just waiting on the sidelines before this project would essentially fundraise and reach a certain stage. But it's nice that it still shows on the LinkedIn because it's more essentially, it's higher convenience for the investors and people like that. I don't think this guy is working on Polker. I think senior guy that we saw, gaming guy, is working on this thing. And I think most of the team members, just because they probably have a lower role, they might be just engineers, they might be just UI and UX designers. I don't think that we would see them on LinkedIn at all. A senior graphic designer full time. I might say it's also bullish that he's open to work because Romanian prices, they are definitely higher and more expensive than Philippines prices. So it's alright. Project manager at Polker. She's based in Brazil. Nice. Freelance. Alright. So following her LinkedIn, she's working full time. I don't understand why they need a gaming manager and project manager. Maybe they need. Maybe if they really have 10 to 15 people in Asia, then they definitely need. Brazil is nice, it's cheaper, so it's bullish from my point of view. This guy we saw already. This is the founder. He's working his job to make sure that he can deliver for his family financial freedom and for the project. quite bullish. I didn't actually think that the project is 6 years old, which is quite crazy by itself. Like, it's quite bullish by itself because 6 years on crypto market and they're still working on the whole thing. Quite interesting. Operations not working full time, but is bullish as well. I mentioned about this already. Same thing. GitHub. So I was not able to find GitHub of Polker. This is something that I randomly just saw in Google. I'm not sure if it's GitHub of Polker. It might be quite interesting. Channels application code. Let's check out controllers. Application controller. I think it's in Android here, right? Class application. It's either Flutter or React Native. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not a cross-platform software engineer, but software engineer. Is that Ruby? I'm sorry. So it's obviously in Ruby. So there are some technologies actually to write cross-platforms applications in Ruby. It's quite interesting that if they used that, it might be the case because there are some Ruby is being loved in Japan. So it's probably quite huge around Asia. The guy that developed it, let's see. So one person watching. This is this guy who uploaded, and he's based in Longmont, CO. What's that? I think it's somewhere in the US, right? Colorado, right. So not that bullish because Colorado developers sounds expensive to me, but maybe he was working on the project for some. It might be just a copy of existing repo that they had. So why Ruby might be interesting and why it might be Ruby is because it's quite popular around Asian region. There are some things to write cross-platform applications for iOS and Android in Ruby, and they might have like just a desktop version of the whole thing in Ruby. On the other thing, Ruby is more expensive, so it's harder to find Ruby engineers, and it's harder to basically source the talent, and you would probably be paying more for Ruby guy that you would be paying for like cross-platform JavaScript guy. So I'm not even sure if it's a Polker code, but yeah, it's definitely quite interesting to check out. In terms of any public Polker code, I was not able to find that, but it's quite interesting. Like, this thing is quite interesting by itself. Yeah, so it seems like Ruby code because issues there about leak, about gaming, so it might be that. It might be interesting. All right, so then we move into the fundraising. So one of the things in terms of the fundraising is that, as mentioned, one of the the guy mentioned that the investors are waiting for them to publish the Android application, and then they would be looking to invest funds into Polker. And one of the bearish things is that they only fundraised 750K last market. Now, on top of that, they could have been selling some of the tokens and the peak of the bull if they know about the crypto market and things like that. And the fact that the project is 6 years old, that means that probably last cycle was not the first cycle that these guys were at the market, which means that might have had sold some of the tokens that time, which is bullish because they would have more money to sustain the team. Again, following LinkedIn research, you can see and understand that the team is not the largest expense of these guys. So they definitely structured the company in a way that the team is cheap and some development is being done still. We might have some issues in terms of the quality, but again, people in crypto, they push the money in the worst things, that like some things with bugs or things like that. And it's poker, so it's quite simply to essentially implement something like this. Quite simple. Master Ventures, tier 3 fund, don't know anything about it. So one of the things of why it might be the bullish project is because even investors from the last cycle, they've invested 25 on June. So it's actually quite interesting. It's before the gaming run. So these guys, they timed it pretty nice. They might exit it. They might have exited already. I'm not sure like what's the vesting schedule was, but probably if they invest in, it was a very, very low cap. So they might have provided them with like vesting schedule where they have most of the tokens right away. They might still be getting some from the vesting. So the price is 2 times down for private sale, for public sale investors for the IDO. Yeah, and we have two private rounds as well. So it makes sense, but it kind of does not make sense to me that the price on the public is like cheaper than the price for the private round, because the private round price would usually be cheaper and the public sale would be more expensive because the private, there is more risk connected with the product. So in terms of the fundraising, as mentioned, I think that they definitely need cash at this stage. They might get cash at this stage because I think the burn rate might be around 30K months, which is quite nice, even lower probably. With this team and with employees working not full time, they might be paying like a core team in terms of expenses like 15 to 20K months, which is very, very low for the business and which is very, very lucrative and nice for the investors to come in, especially if they would be able to get on some like US influencers to push this whole thing, is quite bullish. and token is already at 2 million market cap. It was going to 0.004 on max. Yeah, so actually it shows here it was at 0.004 on max as well. So 0.004 it was 8 million market cap, and maybe they themselves, they were selling a bit of the token to have a bit of the money as well, which I totally understand, which is alright. If they dump on me, alright guys, if you need to dump on me to sustain the project so I can hold and I can sell at the end of the year, dump on me every time. No issues. So I think it's quite interesting in terms of the situation. So they fundraised 700k 2 years ago. Let's calculate the burn rates, right? So 2 years ago it was in June. So we can basically say 2 years ago, like 24 months. I do think that it's definitely around, like maybe at the earlier stages they were spending more because they were paying the salaries themselves. But maybe after that they understood that they won't be able to sustain the product if they would start to take money to themselves. And the fact that they are looking for the fundraising currently, I think they might have only around 100k in the bank at this stage, somewhere around that, maybe even less, which would put us at 600k that they burned over 2 years. That's 24 months. Let's do to 25 x 25 is 625k, so should be about right. I think with the team that they have in terms of like short world countries and things like that, they might be actually be spending way less currently. So I would say on average over the course of these 2 years they were spending 25k, but the things that they probably were doing is that they increased the amount of team members in the pool, and then they were decreasing linearly the amount of team members, so the money that they were spending. I think currently the burn rate might be around 7 to 15k, so it's quite nice in terms of actually the ability to be able to sustain the product. But I think they would be fundraising in terms of actually marketing the whole thing, and take profits, exit from the investor's point of view heavily in the end of 2024, end of 2025. But there is a high chance that gambling and GambliFi would be picked up heavily by the end of 2024. I'm not sure how much money they would actually be fundraising. With this team and with marketing, million, like 1.5, 2 million might be enough. I don't think that they would be able to, or they will be up to fundraise more, because they would obviously need to give such like amount of tokens in exchange for the fundraising. One of the interesting things that I was discussing is that the raise might be OTC. So it might actually decrease the price of the current tokens. Not like decrease the price of the current tokens by essentially either increasing the amount of tokens circulated or them giving away their tokens, team tokens, to the investors. Therefore, essentially investors then like dumping them. And it's a pretty nice fact that on recent AMA, one of the guys specifically asked this question to the Polker team. So he specifically asked what type of raise it would be, whether it would be OTC. And the guy said, no, we are fundraising based on the valuation of the company. We're giving shares of the company away. So it won't influence the current token of the project, which is very, very bullish by itself. And in crypto, it's kind of interesting because with any company, you have two options that you can raise with. You can either raise with your tokens and you can raise with the shares of the company. So it's quite interesting by itself. Now we can think about the valuation of the whole thing. So I think they might be taking market, like crypto market valuation, although the market cap is not showing that. I can't say I'm very good in terms of kind of projecting the valuation of the crypto companies because they don't generate revenue. So it's definitely hard to do in terms of the market cap. They're at 2 million currently, but like a month ago, they were at like 6-7 million. So I think they might be able to be valued at like 5 million, 4 or 5 million, and they might be raising based on like 20-25% of the company. So I think they would actually be raising around $1 million at this stage in terms of the valuation of the company. And this million would essentially go, I think, 200 to 300k to sustain the team and 700k to marketing team and to marketing activities of the whole thing. That will probably happen closer to the end of this year. So this is the projections that I essentially have from my end based on the things that I've shared and analyzed as well. Discord for 1,000 members, 200 online, might be bearish, but currently it's morning time Dubai. So guys in the US, they are asleep and things like that. But again, it doesn't kind of shows a lot because if we would have a lot of people here, you would not be able to buy the token at the current prices because it would already be a gem, and it would not be a gem already, basically, because too many people that would know about this token already and things like that. So I think the positive scenario for this thing is to raise. I think they would be able to raise. It's just the question of the valuation and the percentage of the company that they would be able to give away. At the same time, they might decline. I don't think they would be declining because they are specifically spending their money and time for 6 years of working on the project, which is huge by itself. So after this overview, after I essentially got deeper into this project, I'm even more bullish at this stage, because I think the chance of this fundraising is really, really high, because the whole market understands the narrative and that this thing would essentially be flying. In terms of the fundraising for shares, that might be a bit bearish, because they would probably be fundraising not with the crypto like VCs that are willing to buy tokens, but with some other VCs that buy shares. Although crypto VCs, they might be buying shares as well. Yeah, I'd say it's quite interesting. It's definitely a gem. It's definitely a nice overview from my point of view. I'm definitely like the whole thing. Definitely like the setup that they were able to build in terms of not spending the money of the investors, in terms of being able to deliver the product through the bear, supporting the team, supporting the community with daily amas through the bear, working on the jobs themselves, and essentially this way letting the project live instead of just killing it and moving to the other thing. Very bullish currently after this video on this thing. And one of the interesting things is that I think it's still a very, very nice time to get into Polker, because even to my entries, I have only 2x at this stage, and the whole project is being dumped on for quite some time. I think it generally is going to surge, and by the end of 2024, it's definitely going to be even better, bigger, and larger. Thank you for watching this overview. Thank you for your time. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.